Coming up next on This Week in Torrance, after 10 years, the city reflects on 9/11. We'll take you to the moving memorial. And Torrance police crack down on distracted driving. We'll bring you along for the ride. Then city employees set aside their day jobs for a night of performing. Plus, he may not have his driver's license yet, but soon he'll have his college degree. We'll introduce you to one of El Camino's newest students. These stories and much more are just seconds away. The local news starts right now. Hello everyone and welcome to This Week in Torrance. I'm Jin Chun. Thanks for joining us. Here are your top stories. Across the country, Americans reflected on the events of 9/11 for the 10-year anniversary. Reporter Jacqueline Quinn takes us to the memorial here in Torrance.
Community members, law enforcement, and city officials came together in front of City Hall to commemorate the 10-year anniversary of September 11th. Mayor Frank Scotto addressed the crowd, reminding everyone that this day is forever changed.
Remember how we felt. Some of us felt that we could do anything to help. We would. We'd go to New York. We would try to do anything. Remember how you felt those days.
Police Chief John New reflected on how it's changed the lives of public safety service workers.
The events of September 11, 2001 changed law enforcement in several ways. The most glaring change, in my opinion, is we are now first preventers rather than first responders.
And that message of prevention was echoed by leaders of the religious community. Ashik Karwala, a member of the Islamic faith, reminded everyone that interfaith unity is an important step in changing religious and political intolerance.
We should instead recognize that in the last decade, many Americans have reached out across faiths to increase their understanding and to address common concerns.
Healing and learning is close to the heart of Stephanie Schinkel, who works as a flight attendant.
I'm here to remember our crew members from my airline that perished that day. We lost 17 crew members from American.
Work has changed considerably for Schinkel, and her industry has undergone some major adjustments.
We are constantly profiling. We have to keep ourselves and the public safe.
While the attack exposed our country's vulnerability, another resident at the ceremony feels confident that law enforcement are keeping us safer now.
I'm sure we're going to have incidents that happen, but I think we're in pretty good hands.
But reliance on law enforcement alone is simply not enough to keep the entire community unharmed.
Know your surroundings, know what to look for, take advantage of the education that's being provided, to you, for you, by your local government.
Nearly 300 people showed up at this year's event to commemorate the September 11th anniversary. The message to take away with is that now we are all first offenders, not just members of the public. For This Week in Torrance, I'm Jacqueline Quinn.
Thanks, Jacqueline. Well, here are some highlights from the most recent City Council meeting. After 37 years, Elizabeth Collier has retired from the Torrance Police Department. Collier worked as a service officer, a technician in the photo lab, and a subpoena control officer, where she served and tracked thousands of subpoenas every year. Saturday, September 17th is Coastal Cleanup Day in the city. This is the 17th year for the event that encourages community members to hit their local beaches and waterways to pick up trash. Last year, 14,000 volunteers removed 137,000 pounds of debris and recyclables from across LA County. And the city approved the design plans for the Centennial Plaza at El Prado Park. The plan includes landscaping and the location for the Centennial Time Machine. 600 donor bricks that will be placed on the plaza will also be available for purchase. The beleaguered city of Bell is getting some much-needed help. Beverly Hills, San Mateo, and Santa Monica have all agreed to lend the city some of their workers. Beverly Hills will provide a management analyst as well as an IT analyst. The city of San Mateo has already sent a human resources director and will provide a temporary city clerk. And Santa Monica dispatched its deputy police chief. Several retired government employees have also offered their assistance at no cost. The Help Bell movement is being championed by the International City Management Association and the California League of Cities. That beachfront property you've been longing for may not be a good long-term investment. Over the next century, the rising sea levels that are eating away at California's coastline may cause wide-range damage. Economists say coastal communities will be hit hard from lost tourism and tax revenues. Storm damage and erosion will also narrow beaches and damage buildings near the coastline. Experts say beach communities must adapt by building sea walls, replenishing sand, and moving homes and structures away from the shore. There's some mixed news when it comes to recent SAT scores. More college-bound seniors than ever took the exam this year, but the average score for California's high school class of 2011 dropped slightly compared with last year. Students from varied academic backgrounds may be a reason for the poor scores. Nearly 65% of California test takers were ethnic minorities, with 45% of them saying English was not their first language. Over the years, the SATs have been criticized for ethnic and gender bias. Many experts also argue that these test results aren't reliable indicators of ability. But despite a nationwide drop, California's scores topped the national average. And their ongoing rivalry just got more intense thanks to the latest U.S. News and World Report's annual rankings of colleges. USC topped UCLA for the second year in a row. On the list, USC tied for 23rd with Carnegie Mellon, and UCLA was ranked 25th, tied with University of Virginia and Wake Forest. Until last year, UCLA had beaten USC every year since the magazine began its ranking in 1983. And despite recent budget woes, the University of California system dominated the listings for public schools. After UC Berkeley, UCLA was in a tie with the University of Virginia for second place. UC San Diego placed 8th, UC Davis was 9th, and UC Santa Barbara shared the 10th spot with the universities of Washington and Wisconsin. The so-called reach schools remain pretty much the same. Harvard and Princeton tied for number 1, Yale came in 3rd, Columbia 4th, while Caltech, MIT, Stanford, and the University of Chicago tied for 5th place. The magazine's rankings rely partly on the size of the college's endowments and the average SAT scores of incoming students. For the complete list of national rankings, go to usnews.com. Up next on This Week in Torrance, police hit the streets to crack down on distracted driving. And his parents don't need to nag him about doing his homework. We'll tell you why after the break.
Look around you. 1 in 4 kids in the U.S. faces hunger. It's not always easy to see the signs, but in this land of plenty, there are kids that don't know where they will get their next meal. Join Share Our Strength. You can take the pledge to end childhood hunger here in America by 2015. Learn how at NoKidHungry.org. Their next meal could come from you.
80.
30. 50.
Every mile brings us closer.
64.
Every mile in a city near you.
75.
Help us stop diabetes.
100.
Join the Tour de Cure.
60.
Register to ride.
36.
Or sponsor a rider.
50.
Call 1-888-DIABETES or visit us online at diabetes.org/tour. How many miles will you ride?
25.
The popular TV show America's Got Talent gives amateurs and unknown entertainers the chance to perform for the entire country. City employees recently showcased their talent at a similar event, and while they didn't reach as wide an audience, performers reached out to community members with one hope in mind: finding a cure for cancer. Reporter Jacqueline Quinn explains.
Are a girl's best friend.
The 13th annual City Employee Variety Show returned with good old-fashioned entertainment. The evening included acts like singing,
Blackbirds in the dead of night, take these broken wings and learn to fly,
dancing, comedy,
What is the opposite of progress?
And even a performance featuring yo-yos. Performers and organizers are raising money for the American Cancer Society, but the event also gives everyone the chance to remember those who lost their battle to the disease.
I want more.
For one performer, this hits close to home. Elise Sunshine has seen cancer take away not just her mother, but grandmother and aunt.
I don't want anyone to go through what I went through. I don't want any other little girl to live without her mom or her dad or any family member. And I don't want any other one to lose a daughter or a son. And it's a horrible disease, and I hope someday we do find a cure with the money we're raising today.
Others say they came out to support a good cause.
I love yo-yoing, and then also if it's for a good cause, I like to do that.
In light of the recession, donations have slowed across the country, but council member Bill Sutherland says donating money to the ACS is still important.
At some point, they might find a cure for cancer. Excuse me, at one point, they will find a cure for cancer.
Show organizers say they raised more than $9,400, which is about average for the event, and they're hoping to raise even more money at next year's event. For This Week in Torrance, I'm Jacqueline Quinn.
Thanks, Jacqueline. Proceeds from the Employee Variety Show go towards the Torrance Relay for Life, a 24-hour team event that raises money for the American Cancer Society. For more information, go to relayforlife.org. Governor Jerry Brown recently vetoed a bill to raise the cost of a ticket for distracted driving. Proponents of the bill said higher costs were the only way to prevent what is considered as dangerous as speeding or driving while intoxicated. And considering what happened during a recent cell phone sting, they might be right. Reporter Hiba Samad explains.
Torrance residents, beware, as police are out in full force looking for anyone texting or holding their phone while driving. Officer Stuart Scott says using your phone is riskier than drinking and driving.
To me, it's equivalent to a drunk driver. A lot of times you'll see them swerving within the lane. They're either going really fast or either going slow. They're not watching the roadway. You'll see their head down. And so it's dangerous.
It's the cell phone offenders and a high number of accidents that prompted the Torrance Police Department to plan specific problem operations near Carson Street and Plaza Del Amo. They are cracking down on violators, and this month alone, 53 citations were issued just within an hour and a half. Unfortunately, the number of citations given today were still shockingly high.
You would think that over the years you'd see a decline in the usage of cell phones. We got 70 tickets in the past 2 hours, so evidently it's still a problem.
In 2010, 53,000 citations were issued statewide, even after the Distracted Drivers Awareness Month. And the National Safety Council estimates at least 28% of car crashes each year is because of cell phone users. Even with people aware of the law and the enforcement efforts, people continue to break the law.
People just got so used to driving and talking on their cell phone, it's just become habit. So they've just never gotten out of that habit, no matter how much enforcement we're doing.
Within the 2-hour operation, one cell phone user was pulled over for the second time in a month. And while he even had a Bluetooth in his car, he failed to use.
I know that the phone, but I'm just,
You know, it was
you know, it's like this. I'm not used to. I'm called somebody. The guy called me, and this is what happened. Next time, now I need to be more careful.
Alfred Shimkowiak may have learned his lesson, but others on the road didn't want to admit their actions.
Looked like you were
texting? Oh, no, I wasn't texting.
Okay. You have your phone with you?
On this ride along, not only did we find cell phone users, but also a local Torrance resident who we thought was using his cell phone, but really wasn't.
Well, I mean, I'm glad. I mean, it is the law, and you see people driving all over, and it doesn't seem to be enforced. So I'm glad they're doing it because it's dangerous.
Even though the bill to increase fines was recently vetoed by Governor Brown, State Senator Joe Smyton, who passed SB 28 through state lawmakers this past August, hopes to propose a scaled-back bill by next year. Until then, officers like Scott say there is zero tolerance for any distractions on the road, and that people cited should think twice before they pick up the next phone call. For CitiCABLE, I'm Hiba Samad.
Thanks, Hiba. Earlier this year, CHP officers held a month-long crackdown on distracted driving. It was called the nation's largest crackdown, with more than 53,000 citations issued to drivers. Coming up, we'll introduce you to a student who's wise beyond his years.
Most watched and upsetting episodes of intervention ever. It's about my daughter when she was huffing or inhaling everyday household products to get high. She survived. A lot of children don't. The National Institute on Drug Abuse says 1 in 5 American teens have used inhalants to get high. Parents need to know the warning signs. When these normally safe products everybody has in their home are abused, they can lead to even more serious drug abuse or death. Learn to talk to your kids about the dangers of inhalants. Go to inhalant.org.
Does retirement have to wait until my 70s?
Is a great college for our kids?
Out of the question?
Is the American dream
Out of our reach? Not if we can help it. We're the National Endowment for Financial Education, a non-profit organization dedicated to helping people just like you get smart about their money. Log on to smartaboutmoney.org today and start taking control of your financial life.
With video games, I'm always choosing between what my kids want and what I think is best for them. How about this one? Which is why I love these new rating summaries. They let me know exactly what's in the game. Players shoot lasers from an arm cannon. Robot enemies explode and limbs fly off. Maybe that other one's better. Yeah. Get your free game rating summary today, and with it, the world's most powerful weapon, knowledge.
The North Torrance Library will be closed for construction for the next 3 months. During this time, library items may be returned in the outside drop box. All other Torrance libraries are open during regular hours. For more information, go to library.torranceca.gov or call 310-618-5950. And finally, most 14-year-olds are interested in video games, texting, and watching TV, but Avery Marshall doesn't have time for those typical activities since he's too busy studying. Reporter Jacqueline Quinn explains.
Sometimes I don't sleep because I really want to get into those classes I want to learn.
Avery Marshall sounds like most college students, but he's not. He's one of the few to enroll at El Camino College at such a young age, and he thinks anyone can achieve what he's done.
It's not necessarily something that you're born with. I believe that if you start off working hard enough, if you get everything into your mind at an early age, then you're capable of becoming like me when you get older.
Avery wants to become a constitutional lawyer. He's decided to go to college early to get a head start.
It's good to get an early start on colleges because the fact that I'm younger gives me an advantage when I'm applying to universities. Like, I want to apply to Stanford University in Berkeley, and graduating at such an early age is going to give me an advantage.
Outside of studying, Avery plays sports, tutors, and volunteers at the public library. His mother says keeping his life balanced is important.
We make sure that he's around different people so it's not a big deal. He could interact with anybody at any time.
Avery's former math teacher at El Camino thinks it's clear why he stands out, and it's not his age.
He always asks questions that go beyond the material that's on the board currently or the content being taught. He'll ask the what-if questions that I actually encourage my students to ask.
The transition from being homeschooled to attending class on a college campus has been smooth, although he was surprised.
I thought that my classmates opened there's a 14-year-old in this class, but most of them, they view me as an equal after they realize my academic prowess.
Several students on campus think what Avery's done is a big achievement.
That's real amazing. It's big ups, because just alone the college courses is real hectic. I'm still having problems, and I'm 26.
Another student says support at home can really help a person do better in school.
It is tough. There are challenges. But honestly, anybody can do it. As long as the parents are always there, motivating them, making sure, you can do it.
Avery's mother says he's set a good example for his 2 younger sisters, and 8-year-old Ava Marshall is proud of her brother for another reason.
He's a very good big brother.
For This Week in Torrance, I'm Jacqueline Quinn.
Avery has proven he can handle college-level academics. He has a 4.0 grade point average while at El Camino, and he plans to earn an associate's degree in economics and math by the time he is 16, and then transfer to UC Berkeley or Stanford to study political science. After that, Avery's off to law school. And that's going to do it for us on This Week in Torrance. I'm Jin Chun. If you've missed any portion of our show, you can catch us again at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.